So $50 million in 2002 has turned into $110 million in 2015. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a staggering problem, and that's our biggest number one issue. So we looked at ways to try to save money. So the first way that we decided we could save money is we put out a bid, what's called a request for a proposal, for our third-party administrator, who at the time had always been Blue Cross Blue Shield Anthem. Great company, but for whatever reason, former administrations chose not to put that out to bid. And I don't know about you guys, but when you go and you buy a new car, you go to one dealership and then you go to another dealership and you try to get the best price you can, and then you start to negotiate with the dealership that you want to buy the car from. When you know that when you're a company and you know that the city doesn't put it out to bid, well, they're going to charge you probably what they think they should get, which may not be in the best interest of the city.
Right.
We put it out to bid. We had 5 major third-party administrators reply, including Cigna. And we negotiated with Cigna, and our negotiations did several things. A, they locked us into a $2.2 million savings from year one, annually, every year. 2, we locked into a 5-year contract with another 5-year option that's also locked in. So at least now we can project what our third-party administrator cost is going to be for the next 10 years, and that's big.
Yeah.
And if you do the math on that, that's about a $20 million opportunity to save money over the next 10 years. And that was, an amazing, look, when you become mayor, you learn a lot of things. That was an amazing education exercise. We also went to a national formulary, Paul, for prescriptions. So, in other words, we are using a national formulary plan that is competitive bidding for all types of drugs, right? Whether it's heart-related or diabetes-related or behavioral health-related, but we're getting the best possible price on these drugs that our retirees and our active employees need. So just by doing that saved us another $500,000 a year. We took the very unpopular step and it had never been done before, and I to this second don't understand why, was we did a dependent audit. So we audited our 12,000 plus employees who were on our healthcare plan to make sure they should still be on our healthcare plan. And surprisingly enough, ladies and gentlemen, there were people on there that shouldn't have been on there. When people go through divorce or things happen, with families, we insure families. Right. We insure our employees and their families. We don't insure brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws and ex-wives and husbands. And so that audit yielded another $500,000 a year in savings.
Wow.
Those seem like simple, common sense measures, right? They are. And they were never done before. And the people of Waterbury should really be wondering why. And I haven't gotten a clear answer, and I don't think I ever will, from the Georgia administration who had been there for the 10 years before. The other thing I think that's really important to point out is that we recognize that the federal government pays for health care once you turn 65 and older. So we actually have employees who have retired who have not gone on Medicare. And when you are not on Medicare and you're a retired city employee, then the city of Waterbury is responsible for paying for your medical procedures. We actually have several employees who are retired who had enormous medical costs built up from a variety of very, very, very serious medical problems. But we have several instances that we can point directly to of employees that we paid over $1 million, $1 million for different procedures and transplants and treatments. And that's wonderful that we've been able to provide that to our employees to help continue their lives. But at the end of the day, if they're 65 or older, the federal government pays for that.
They'll pick up the cost 80%. of 80%. So instead of $1 million out of city coffers, we're really talking $200,000.
$200,000.
And the care, the coverage, what they get is absolutely no different under the Medicare plan. It's just that we're not using our taxpayers' money directly to pay for that.
Right, and thank you. And that's the best point that needs to be made. There is not any cost to our retirees, zero, and they receive no reduction in coverage or services. As a matter of fact, when we switched over to Cigna, our employees actually received more benefit and coverage in the areas of cancer treatments and things that were available to them. So we actually increased opportunities for our retirees through Cigna, and we've actually now we'll start putting our retirees into the Medicare plan at age 65, and there will be not one reduction in service or 1 penny of cost coming out of their pockets. And guess what that'll save? You heard what the other programs save. Conservatively, this will save the city of Waterbury $4.8 to $7.8 million a year.
That's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. If you do all that math and add it all up, you're talking about nearly a $10 million a year savings in programs that have been available and out there, and this city never took advantage of them. So, yes, our retirees were anxious, and they should have been. Yes, they came down, and we talked to thousands of them one-on-one to assure them we weren't going to hurt them in any way, shape, or form, and they are satisfied. Then they understand. Actually, they're very pleased with Cigna, quite frankly. And we've built a credibility with our retirees that continues to grow, and a level of trust that continues to grow. And that's a difficult thing to do when you have an 85-year-old retired person in front of you. But I will say this, and I say this to our seniors, and that's why I have such admiration for our seniors in this city. All of these seniors in this city were born here or immigrated here and worked here and worked for the city and were loyal. And the thing that makes me feel the best about all of this, Paul, is once you explain it to them, and once they recognize that it's going to help and benefit the entire city, they sign on without any reservations at all, because they believe in us and they trust us. And that's a really good feeling, Paul. And they're doing it for all the taxpayers of the city of Waterbury, not just government employees.
And that goes back to, as we talked before, the relationships that you can build. It's based on what you have been doing that causes people to feel that strongly and trust you that strongly. So
right. Well, they know that, my father was in the fire department here for 35 years. So, a lot of the retired firemen, of course, were friends of my father. Being the police chief and police officer here for 30 years builds up some credibility as well. But I think the thing they know the most, Paul, and it stands very strong for the Board of Aldermen too, is that we're willing to make tough decisions, and we're courageous enough to make those decisions regardless of the political year or the political consequences, because it's the right thing. It's the right thing for the whole city of Waterbury. And I believe that our people recognize and understand that the most, and that's why I think we've been so successful.
The other thing that's been a good story for us to tell is the issues around education here in the city of Waterbury. We have continued, with the K through 12 transition that started a number of years ago. Despite some pushback and opposition, we've been, K through 8 in the schools, going to the neighborhood schools. We still have some way to go with that. The last school that we brought online was the Career Academy, which has been a really beneficial approach to dealing with young people who may not want to go on to college but still need to have some opportunities here in the city. We've been looking at trying to improve some of the funding. So I think that education, there's always issues around education. We need to continue working on it, but I think especially over the last 4 years we've made some great progress.
We have, and the Waterbury Career Academy is one of the most magnificent high schools you're going to think I'm crazy now, but it's one of the most magnificent high schools in the country. And I say that because I've been asked to speak in 4 different states about the Waterbury Career Academy, because municipal leaders across the country recognize that many of our students do not go on to college for a variety of different reasons, most of it financially driven. But this gives them a real opportunity to get into the workforce, to be skilled enough to get in the workforce when they graduate high school. And the Career Academy has a manufacturing facility inside of it. They have a hospital wing inside of it. They have a technology center that's second to none inside of it, and a human resource services center inside. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to say is that it's a vo-tech school very similar to Caner, and we work with Caner. They're partners of ours. We've learned a lot from Caner. And we're getting our children into internship and apprentice programs through the Career Academy while they're in high school, so that they're learning life skills and work skills. And then when they graduate, we're hoping to get them right into these employment opportunities like Caner Technical High School is doing now. We just filled a position up there, a vice principal, with Mike Harris, who's a Waterbury kid. And Mike is in the factories now and at St. Mary's Hospital, working with them to put these internship and apprenticeship programs in place. And it is just a phenomenal experience. And you know, our children, you know, there are so many life skill lessons for them to learn. You know, simple things like communication, the ability to learn how to communicate with adults in a professional environment, to dress properly, to talk properly, to show up to work on time and before, actually, before you're supposed to start, and then to be energetic and excited to be a part of something. Our kids have shown that they're amongst the best kids in the world. They've embraced these programs, and we're getting huge successes. And this is going to be very, very interesting. Our Career Academy has been open for 3 years. The senior class obviously will graduate in 2016. Actually, 2017. Yeah, 2017. What I'm really interested, Paul, is that the percentage of the graduation rate out of the Career Academy, because, ladies and gentlemen, you know, we've got about a 65% graduation rate right now in the city of Waterbury, which is unacceptable. Not different than the other big cities, still unacceptable. I want to see what the graduation rate is out of the Career Academy after next year, because I predict it's going to be very high. And then I think what we should do is model their curriculums and programs at every single one of our city high schools.
And you know, you've tied, even within the Career Academy, I know there was a program that was designed to let other students attend that school after school, so that they could get some of the benefits even if they weren't attending. And I know that you've been very instrumental in partnering with Naugatuck Valley Community Technical College, who also has an industrial and manufacturing program there, to tie that in with the city to create opportunities.
We've been very, very successful with our partnership with Naugatuck Valley. I'm the chairman of the Regional Advisory Board over there and have been for 5 years. The president over there, Daisy Coco DeFilippis, and I are very, very close. And she recognizes what urban children need to be successful. She really does. She's a phenomenal person who grew up under challenged circumstances, and so she knows firsthand what you need to do to be successful. And so we got together 5 years ago, and she convinced me to go on this board, and I really do. It's been a very rewarding experience. But you know, working with Daisy, working with Kathy A. Watt and the Northwest Regional Workforce Board, we've been able to funnel our children into these programs. As you point out, there is an advanced manufacturing center at Naugatuck Valley Community College, again, thanks to Governor Malloy. There is an allied health center, if you drive by there now, that is under construction right now in the old Founders Hall building. So we've got great things going on there, but most importantly, these are opportunities for our youth who may not or will not be able to go to formal college for a lot of reasons, and we'll get them funneled into these programs at Naugatuck Valley. We actually have programs now at Naugatuck Valley where our high school students travel by bus to Naugatuck Valley through programs that were created through Daisy and Kathy Awad to get them in the workforce and get them in that kind of thought process. And those programs have been extraordinarily successful as well. And finally, to finish up with the after-school program at the Career Academy that you point out, we created what's called a STEM Academy, and we take children from all the schools and give them an opportunity to participate in the STEM Academy, which is a program that we started as well.
And STEM being science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
That's
so
correct.
So the basics that a lot of our students aren't otherwise getting in the school system. Just, I can tell you as a personal anecdote, you know, I have 3 boys. My oldest son has graduated from college, my youngest son is attending college, but my middle son was just never particularly liked school. He spent the semester in college. It wasn't for him. He ended up going on to Lincoln Technical School and became an electrical apprentice. He's thriving right now with that opportunity. So had he had the opportunities in high school that we're now providing for people in Waterbury, you know, he would have had a good head start on that kind of a career. This kid gets up at 3:30 every morning. He goes to work and he loves it. You know, it's great.
And that's what's so much fun. You know, Paul, you know, my friends especially say, you know, why do you do this job? You know, we all have opportunities, right? We all have opportunities to do things with our lives. But when I was the police chief, you know, we saw that if we could excite the mayor's office to do other things than what they were doing, which was not a lot, that we could make a difference in the lives of these children. And we could make a difference in the city of Waterbury. And we could make a difference in the perception of the city of Waterbury, not only in the state, but also with our partners in Washington, D.C. And we have made it our life's mission to do just that. And you know, the fun part of doing this job, and there's a lot of fun parts, but I think one of the best parts of this job to everyone out there is that you're given an opportunity as the mayor of the city to be able to initiate change in programs that are going to be beneficial to our children and their children, and it's a very rewarding experience. You also have opportunities to do things that we should be doing and we have been doing for our senior population, because without the senior population, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And without their sacrifice, we wouldn't be here, or we wouldn't be able to enjoy some of our successes. So, you know, we've made it our life's mission in this administration to build the senior center, to open the senior center, to take care of our seniors, not only at our senior center, which is the hub over on the east side of town, but to take care of our seniors across the line, across the city. We provide transportation that had never been provided before. We give them opportunities and referrals that they had never had before. Our senior population is grateful to us for recognizing them, but I'm grateful for them because we're giving them the respect they had already deserved. Yeah. And that's a big thing, and we're very proud of those things, Paul. So, you know, to be able to make a positive difference is very rewarding in this job.
No, it is, and that's part of why the same thing for us, I think, who serve on the boards, the Board of Education, the Board of Aldermen,
correct,
and the rest, is that there's a lot of good that's going on. It's very satisfying, and you know, at some point before we end today, and you know, time goes by so quickly when you do this. We have such it would take about 4 hours to get this thoroughly done. I do just want to talk a little bit about the team that's running with us in this election, and you know, when people come out and vote, we would hope that you would support the entire Democratic team, Mayor O'Leary's team. It really is, with one exception that I'll point out in a minute, the Row A team, so that when you come out and vote, again, it's this Tuesday, November 3rd, you know, that you would vote across for Row A. And I'm just going to talk about these candidates a little bit. Obviously, in 1A is Mayor O'Leary, who's running for re-election. I think as you've been listening to him for the last 40 or 45 minutes here, you can see someone who's very engaged in the city of Waterbury, cares about the city of Waterbury, and in spite of some of the nonsense that you hear through this political season, has been out really putting a good face on the city of Waterbury, and I think for the first time in decades has been taking our image across the country and putting it out there, and people believe that good things are happening here, and that's what's bringing them into the city. Our town clerk is Antoinette Chick Spinelli. She's been here for a lot of years. You know, Antoinette does a great job in the town clerk's office. She's has professional certifications. She works very hard, and she deserves to be returned to office. Mike Dalton, who is our city clerk, I don't think you'll meet a nicer guy than Mike Dalton, a harder worker than Mike Dalton, somebody more committed to the veterans in this city than Mike Dalton is. And he's the clerk really for our board of aldermen and some of the other land use boards in the city and the other boards that meet the police commission. They do a terrific job in that office. Mike is doing a great job. That's in row position 3A. Our city sheriff is Steve Conway. Steve loves being the city sheriff, and I think he maintains order at the Board of Aldermen, which sometimes is a little bit more difficult than others. He goes out and serves a lot of the process for the city. So, you know, Steve has been doing a great job, and we would ask you to support Steve in position 4A. With respect to the Board of Aldermen, it's going to be a little bit different this year. In the past, you would have voted for 9 separate aldermen, but this year we're doing the first time we have aldermen by district that was put on the ballot and passed. And so depending on where you live in the city, you're going to vote for 2 out of the aldermen that you'll see listed there. So in the 1st district, which is roughly equivalent to the 71st House district, our candidates for election are Paul Cicchetti and Ernie Brunelli in positions 5A and 6A. They're both incumbents. They have both been very dedicated to the city of Waterbury. They've worked very hard for you, and they're an integral part of this team, and we would ask you to return them to office. In the 2nd District, which is roughly equivalent to the 72nd House District, it's, again, two incumbents who are coming back, Greg Hadley in 5A and Victor Lopez in 6A. They also, these teams have been working, as the mayor says, the success that he's been having, and he's a great leader, and he's got some great vision for the city, but he needs a team behind him that can make those things happen, and these guys are part of that team. In the 3rd District, which is roughly equivalent to the 73rd House District, you see how the pattern is falling, 71, 72, 73, are myself in row 5A and Alderman Ron Napoli in row 6A. And again, I think that we have done a very good job in representing the areas in the district and standing out for the city issues, and I would hope that you would see fit to put both Ron and I back into office so we can continue working with the mayor and serving you. In the 4th District, there's going to be a little bit of a difference in what I'm going to ask you to do in the 4th District. Mike DiGiovancarlo is the endorsed Democratic candidate in that district. He won the primary handily that we had in September, and he's in position 5A. So as you go across in the 4th District, we're going to ask you to vote through rows 1A through 5A. But when you get to 5A, we're going to ask you to do something a little different. Go down to position 5D, drop right below Mike's name, and go down and vote for Chris Orsini. Chris is an incumbent alderman finishing his first term. As you all know, he had been a Republican who switched to become a Democrat. I'm sure as he watches the Republicans disintegrate at this point, he's happy he did that. But Chris has been a very important part of helping to move the city forward. He has had a great view of how things should get done. He's not afraid to speak his mind. So we'd ask you to drop down, in that case, in the 4th District to 5D and vote for Chris Orsini. In the 5th District, which is the one district that has two brand newcomers, there was no one who lived in that area, which is roughly equivalent to the 75th District, we have Sandra Martinez McCarthy, who's running. She's a paralegal here in the city of Waterbury, and Abdallah, known as Abby Johnson, who works for the Department of Education. Both of these people have been very committed. They're both newcomers to politics, but they've been very committed to the issues in the south end of Waterbury and to their district. And they are going to be a very important part of helping to move the city forward and understanding the issues that are unique to the south end. So we would ask you to support both of them. And then continuing at the end, the last three positions would be the Board of Education. They're at the end, but they're not unimportant. Education is a big part of what happens here in the city. So if you go down and vote in the 4th District, every place else keep going right across A. In the 4th District, come back down from 5D, go back up to 7A, where you find Chuck Pagano, in 8A, Elizabeth Brown, and in 9A, Ann Sweeney. Both Liz Brown and Ann Sweeney have been on the board for a number of years. They both worked very hard for our students. Chuck is a newcomer to politics. As you know, he was involved in the redistricting commission. I think he did a terrific job there. We were very happy with his leadership there. The mayor, was quite impressed with him. Chuck has been involved in the community. He chairs the Holy Land board, and he's just otherwise very interested in this community. He's a great leader, and I think he's going to be someone who's going to really add a lot to the Board of Education. So we'd ask you to, finish out on 7A, 8A, and 9A. And that's our team, and I think if you support this team, you support Mayor O'Leary, you're going to see the next 2 years and 4 years in the city of Waterbury. You're going to see progress that's even going to make the progress we've had in the last 4 years look lackluster if we go through with that.
Well, and I'm so glad we had an opportunity to talk about our slate and our newcomers, and particularly, we're excited about the new form of government to see if it has a positive impact on the city, and we're giving it every opportunity to do so. And we are asking, as you mentioned, for special attention out in the 4th District, the East End District, and we're working very, very hard to get Chris Orsini elected. The fact is, from the very beginning of this campaign, I really made it clear that I was going to try and stay on the high road, meaning we would talk about all the positive things that have happened here, and we've just spent the last 50 minutes doing that, and we probably need another 2 hours to continue. At least. But at the end of the day, we've really tried to stay on the high road. But I can tell you, it's been a challenge. It's very, very hard to stay on the high road when people are saying things that are completely outrageous, completely disrespectful. And it's really been sad that that tactic or these tactics have been undertaken by several of the opposing candidates running for mayor. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, you know who's running this city. I'll ask you a very simple question. Do you think the city is better off today than it was 4 years ago, or 6 years ago, or 8 or 10 years ago? And the answer has got to be got to be, it's a better city. You know, our bond rating, which is very important, which is what gauges the success and healthiness of a city, is A+. This city was put into an A+ rating under my administration in 2013 because of the sound fiscal practices that we continue to implore our employees and our department heads to undertake. You know, our debt is definitely under control. We're in a great place where we've had balanced budgets and surpluses the last 4 years. We've worked very, very hard for you, and we're trying to continue to stabilize your tax rate and maybe someday in the very near future lower the tax rate. But when you have this negative rhetoric that's going on during election season, it's very difficult because we're trying to build up the perception of the city as a great city that's in forward motion and moving in a positive direction. And then to hear some of these outrageous things that are being said, please do not believe them. They're awful. And this morning I had, unfortunately, the opportunity to listen to Alderman Ryan Mulcahy on the TV, and Alderman Ryan Mulcahy has chosen to lie directly to your faces. And you know, Alderman Mulcahy lost terribly in the primary several weeks ago, and I believe it was because the people of the East End recognize that he has become a very, very bitter young man, a very agitated young man, and a very disrespectful young man. And the results of the primary speak for themselves. And I continue to ask you to make sure that you listen to the facts and not to to his rhetoric and his really unbelievable lies and stories. He said on public access TV that that I was a part of his hiring with his position that, of course, you know by now that he lost through the city after an independent investigation showed that he was less than truthful on his employment application, particularly in the area of supervising people. Ryan Mulcahy has unfortunately taken a very negative road on that. It's very unfortunate. He's been disrespectful to me, to my office, but most importantly, he's been disrespectful to you as the taxpayers of Waterbury. Very, very cynical and very negative toward the department heads of the city, his fellow aldermen, and you sent a message to him on primary day, and I implore you to send the same message to him on election day. That's as negative as it's going to get around here, and it's only because, you know, at certain times you have to defend your record and you have to defend yourself. And you know, these tactics, you know, whether it's Larry DiPillo, whether it's Jimmy Griffin or Jose Morales, ladies and gentlemen, you know, Larry DiPillo's been running now. This is the 7th time for mayor,
like that, yeah.
And you know, it's interesting. He's tried to be a little bit nicer this time around, so he's using people like Lisa Lessard to throw his bombs, and I think that's rather transparent to the voters in the city of Waterbury. You know, we tell a positive story. We tell a story of success. We tell a story of we're going to move this city forward, whether these guys are on board with us or not. And they tell, all three of them collectively, all they have done is negative campaigning from the moment they've announced their intentions to run for mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, the only way to keep this city going forward, the only way to enjoy economic development success, is to build a perception of the city as one that wants to move forward. And they don't want us to move forward. They just want to continue the negative rhetoric that is just absolutely incredibly untrue. Don't believe it, it's not right. I'm going to stop by just saying to you, you know, November 3rd is a very important day for this city. We need a slate of candidates that can move our agenda forward. We've talked to you about our successes. There are many more to talk about. Continue, if you can, to read the information that we send to your house. If you can, please go to o'learyformayor.com. That's www.o'learyformayor.com. If you go there every day, you'll get to enjoy the success stories that are on that website, and you'll be able to comment and you'll be able to tell us what you think we should be doing more in the city of Waterbury. But it's all positive and it's all good, and I'm really, really proud to tell you that we're very excited about this election that's coming up.
And I'd just like to thank you for spending the last hour listening to us. I think, as the mayor says, we've had a great story to tell. You've you know, when you talk about economic development or fiscal responsibility or education or quality of life issues in Waterbury, what we've been telling you over the last hour is all of the good things that we have done and that we're going to continue to do. And I think the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So our past successes, I think, are very indicative of the future successes we've had. So thank you for spending your time with us. I hope